So, yeah, I mean, it's been a really long journey. And I think the thing that ticked me off the most about it and that got me started on this was driving down to a Dan doctor that we went to see, who, by the way, I love. I'm not in any way dissing this person. Great person, but, you know, on the way back, $2,500 later, I'm thinking, what do people do? They don't have an open credit card balance, which was the only way I could have done it, to do this. And the answer is they don't get helped. And that's horrific, because, you know, does a kid in the inner city have any less potential than a kid that lives in Germantown? You know, no. And it's not their fault that they have a socioeconomic situation that is not quite as advantaged as they would like for it to be, but they pay the price for it. And, you know, these kids need to have an opportunity to reach their fullest potential, whatever that is. You know, if the best we can do is a grocery bagger, then you know what? Dang it, let's make him the best grocery bagger the world's ever seen. But if he can be a neurosurgeon, I think we need to give him the opportunity. We got lots of Einsteins and Jeffersons and Galileos walking around here that are absolutely brilliant. They are not mentally retarded. You know, that so many of these kids come in and the parents are devastated because not only are they told they have autism, but they're told that they're mentally retarded. Well, no, they look mentally retarded, because when we do an IQ test on them based on communication with nonverbal kids, they score below 70. Surprise! You know, it's not rocket science, it's common sense. You can't do that. And some of these things affect these people. When I've done IEPs before where I've had, you know, I had a 15-year-old kid, and by the way, I have permission to share this story. I don't just go around talking about people, but had a 15-year-old kid who'd never been taught to read, never been taught skills, basic academic skills, you know, and the parents were stunned, and I went to the IEP and said, let's write some goals. And they said, we don't need to. And I said, what do you mean we don't need to? And they said, well, she scored below 70 on her IQ test. So by law, I mean, we really only have to work on functional skills. And I went, no, you did not just say that to me. Do you know how horrific that is? And I had a tape recorder with me, and I said, really? Okay. Hey, do me a favor. Put that in writing for me, would you? Which they did, which cracks me up. And so I started tutoring her 2 hours a week, and I taught her how to read in 6 weeks. And we went back and called a new IEP and said, let's write some goals. And they said the same thing, she's not teachable. And I said, oh, yes, she is. Read this for me. And they went, you know, there's almost an assumption that our kids aren't capable of doing things. And there's an assumption that just because they don't have a voice, they're not there, or that they're not teachable, or that they're not reachable. And the thing that I see over and over and over with the kids that we work with that get better is, as they learn language, the things that they tell us that they've known all along, they just never had the means to tell us that they knew it, stuns me. We can't take it for granted. We have to educate these kids. And at the rate that we're going right now, I mean, we're looking at what I think CDC said 1 in 150 last time. And 1 in 150 is epidemic. But, you know, if you ask me, I think it's more like 1 in 35 if you start looking at all the spectrum disorders. But even conservatively, if you just look at the 1 in 150, if we don't start doing something differently with these kids, instead of just sitting back and watching them fall through the cracks, in the next 10 to 15 years, when 1 out of 150 children are adults and require long-term care at the cost of the government, it's going to bankrupt our economy. And it's not even necessary. That would be bad in any situation. But the fact that it's fixable and it's not being fixed is unconscionable to me. It drives me insane.